Hi, welcome back to What's That Origin, and to celebrate the release for Loki that's going to be coming out in May on Disney Plus, I'm going to be going into the origins of Loki from the MCU series. So Loki in the series is a very mischievous character. He's definitely in it for himself. He's a very interesting character in the MCU. He's probably one of the more complex ones, whether an antagonist or not. He's definitely a very complex character. There will be a spoiler alert in effect. In the MCU series, Loki is the adopted son of Odin and son of Oa and Frigga. But he is the biological son of Odin's enemy, the frost giant Loki. And Odin finds him as an infant and raises him as his own, and even plans on possibly giving Asgard to Loki if Loki had proven to be worthy of the throne over his own biological son Thor. Loki is a character who is normally always looking out for number one. Whether that means aligning himself with Thanos, which he does do, only to betray him in the end, or sometimes helping, the Avengers out. But no matter what, it always seems like whatever he does, it's going to be for himself. Until, of course, his adopted mother, Frigga, dies. And then when we see Loki again, we see that the reason why he is such a complex character is because we see that he does have some human emotions. He was very distraught and disturbed and depressed about his mother's passing. So that was an interesting look at Loki. And I know that we were all pretty excited come Endgame, and we see that there's a chance that Loki past Loki is alive and going to have his own series. So that's really exciting. So now on to who Loki really is. He is the god of mischief from Norse mythology. He is not the adopted or otherwise son of Odin or the brother of Thor at all. He is, however, the son of giants. Loki, who is actually a goddess, not male, as the movie would have you believe. Named for Broody. I'm probably gonna say all these names wrong. And like I said, he is the god of mischief, like his counterpart in the MCU. And there are some similarities definitely between personalities, because like I said, Loki is after whether everything he does is for himself, whether it gets him into trouble or not, remains to be seen before, after he plans something. So yes, so he was a god of mischief, and people like thieves and probably just no good people would worship him. The most interesting things about Loki is his role in the building of Asgard and the falling of Asgard. He was responsible for building the walls of Asgard, and the way he did this was he made a wager with a giant and his stallion that if he could complete the walls of Asgard, one of the worlds of the world tree, if the giant were to finish on time, the giant would get the sun and the moon and Freyja as a wife. So in the Norse gods, like Odin didn't want to pay such a steep price. So Loki made a deal with the gods that he could get the giant to do the walls for nothing. Makes a wager with the giant, and in order to slow the giant down, Loki turns into a mare to seduce the giant's horse, his stallion, who is helping him build these walls. And in the process, Loki actually becomes pregnant because he's a female mare. He's a shapeshifter, and he gives birth to the 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, that would become Odin's trusted steed. So yes, Loki is a mother as well as a father to multiple beings. That was just one I found interesting because he was a mother because he shapeshifts. Loki also has 3 other children that do play roles in the downfall of Asgard. 2 in particular. So he has a daughter named Hel, who rules over Hell. She rules over the dead. And then he has the wolf's son, Fenrir, who will one day kill Odin during the fall of Asgard, during Ragnarok. And then he has the other son, who is Yarminder. I know I butchered it. Who is the world snake, and he's the world snake because his whole body can go around the entire world, and he bites his tail. And the story goes that when the snake lets go of his tail, that is when Ragnarok is to start, the end of the world. So like I said, Loki has a lot of ties to the building of Asgard, but also the downfall, because his children become key components on the downfall. And as I said before, he's a very mischievous god, and that can get him into a lot of trouble. In one such instance, Odin has many children. One is a blind god named Hodder, and he has another son named Balder. And Balder was supposed to be considered the most beautiful male god. And it got to a point where his mother, Freyja, had made every species, both animal and plant, swear to never do this god harm, Balder harm. The only one that she left out was the plant mistletoe, and thinking that mistletoe would never be able to harm her son. Loki, who was a little annoyed by the attention that this other god was getting, tricked the brother Hodder, who is blind, with a bow and arrow made out of mistletoe, and had him shoot his brother Balder and killed him. For Loki's punishment, it was a lot like, if you know the Greek myth of Prometheus and the flame. Prometheus was strapped to a boulder, and an eagle would come down and rip out part of his liver every single day. Well, Loki had a similar punishment. He was strapped to a boulder, and placed above him was a poisonous serpent that would drip poison onto him. And his wife, Sigyn, would try to capture as much of the poison as she could in a bowl, hold it above his head, but when it came time that the bowl was full, she had to obviously dispose of the poison. So in the time that she was disposing of the poison would drip onto Loki, and he would tremble, and that is where the Norse believed that earthquakes came from. And that's pretty much the end of Loki until Ragnarok, when he is released, but then he goes into battle and he dies there. So I guess his mischievous ways didn't quite save him in the end. Of course, that wasn't the case of Loki from the MCU. We see that his mischievous ways have still kept him alive, even though in trouble, but alive nonetheless. So I do look forward to seeing what that's going to look like in the series. So yeah, let me know what you think about the new series coming out. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm a nerd at heart, and I'm all for the MCU. So like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. Okay, bye.